But for me, in the months since the death of my beloved Philip, I have drawn great comfort from the warmth and affection of the many tributes to his life and work, from around the country, the Commonwealth, and the world. His sense of service, intellectual curiosity, and capacity to squeeze fun out of any situation were all irrepressible.
She had access to billions in diamonds, but refused to wear them. For 70 years, Queen Elizabeth II hoarded a secret stash of stupidly expensive tiaras hidden deep in royal vaults that no one knew about, worth absolute fortunes, dripping in rare jewels, and she never wore a single one. Instead, she did something absolutely wild. She gave them to others, let controversial royals wear millions on their wedding days, watched from the sidelines as these forgotten treasures caused absolute chaos at royal events.
This is a duty I'm especially happy to discharge, as the impact of the environment on human progress was a subject close to the heart of my dear late husband, Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. I remember well that in 1969, he told an academic gathering.
But here's the part that'll blow your mind. Some experts think she was hiding something. A secret reason why these specific tiaras stayed locked away. What she knows will shock you. Queen Elizabeth II had access to one of the world's most extraordinary tiara collections. Yet surprisingly, there were dozens of glittering pieces sitting in the royal vaults that she never once placed on her head. Some of these tiaras were given to her as a young woman. Others she inherited from royal relatives, and a few arrived through rather unusual circumstances. But instead of wearing these cascades of diamonds and precious stones, the Queen made different choices. She lent them out to other family members, kept them stored away for years, or waited for exactly the right moment to bring them back into public view. When these forgotten tiaras finally reappeared, they often became the centerpieces of royal weddings and state dinners, just not on the woman who actually owned them. What motivated these decisions? And what can they tell us about how Elizabeth II managed her remarkable jewelry collection? Today, we're going to explore the tiaras she generously loaned out, the ones that stayed hidden, and some that have nearly disappeared from public memory altogether. Let's begin with 3 examples that perfectly show this pattern. The Cartier Halo Tiara offers perhaps the most revealing case. The story starts in 1936 when the Duke of York, who would later become King George VI, bought this delicate diamond piece from Cartier as a gift for his wife Elizabeth. The tiara was made that summer and was meant to add to the Duchess of York's jewelry collection, which at the time was fairly modest compared to other royals. Here's where things get interesting. The Duchess did wear her new tiara a few times in the late 1930s, but then something major happened. Her husband unexpectedly became king, and she suddenly found herself as Queen Elizabeth. This charming little tiara now seemed too simple for a queen consort. So in 1944, when Princess Elizabeth turned 18 during the difficult war years, the Queen Mother gave her own halo tiara to mark her daughter's coming of age. Yet remarkably, the future Queen Elizabeth II was never photographed wearing this birthday present, not even once. Perhaps during wartime, there weren't many opportunities for such formal events, and by the time grand occasions returned after the war, she was already queen with access to the most magnificent state jewels. It seems this lovely piece was simply meant to be worn by younger princesses, a role it has filled beautifully ever since. Instead of wearing it herself, Elizabeth II made it available for other younger royals. Her sister Princess Margaret chose it for one of the grandest occasions imaginable, the 1953 coronation. Years later, Princess Anne made this tiara her go-to piece for her first tiara appearances in the late 1960s and early 70s. But perhaps most surprisingly, after sitting in storage for decades, this little tiara emerged for one of the most watched royal weddings in recent history. Catherine Middleton wore it when she married Prince William at Westminster Abbey in 2011, introducing millions of viewers worldwide to a tiara that the Queen herself had never worn publicly. Then we have the fascinating story of Princess Andrew's meander tiara, a piece that connects to the royal family's Greek heritage. This diamond beauty features a distinctive Greek key pattern with a laurel wreath in the center. It belonged to Prince Philip's mother, Princess Alice of Battenberg. When Alice gave it to her new daughter-in-law, Princess Elizabeth, as a wedding gift in 1947, it seemed like an ideal piece for a future queen. But once again, we see the same pattern emerging. Elizabeth II never wore this meaningful family heirloom in public, despite owning it. Instead, by 1972, she had officially given it to her daughter, Princess Anne, who wore it regularly at state functions and for official photographs. The tiara's most notable recent appearance came when Princess Anne's daughter, Zara, chose it for her wedding to Mike Tyndall in 2011. Great-grandmother Alice's tiara was finally getting another major moment in the spotlight, just not on the person it was originally given to. There's something quite touching about how this piece connected 3 generations of royal women, with each finding their own relationship to it, except curiously the one who received it as a wedding gift. But perhaps the most dramatic example involves Queen Mary's diamond bandeau. This tiara has quite a history behind it. Gerard created it in 1932 specifically to showcase a small diamond brooch that had been given to Queen Mary as a wedding present back in 1893 by the people of Lincolnshire. That little brooch had sat unused for nearly 40 years before she decided to build an entire tiara around it. Queen Mary wore her new piece occasionally, mostly for less formal events like film premieres. When she died in 1953, she left it to her granddaughter, Elizabeth II. And then, nothing. Complete silence for 65 years. The bandeau stayed in the royal vaults, largely forgotten by royal jewelry watchers, until that remarkable moment in May 2018, when Meghan Markle stepped out of her car at St. George's Chapel, wearing this long-lost treasure. Imagine a tiara sitting in darkness for over half a century, only to reappear for one of the most closely watched royal weddings of modern times. But here's the striking part. In all those years, through countless state banquets and gala performances, Queen Elizabeth II never once chose to wear this elegant piece herself. 3 different tiaras, 3 different stories, but one clear pattern. Elizabeth II showed a remarkable willingness to let others shine in jewels that rightfully belonged to her. And there's something worth noting about all 3 pieces. Each one seems perfectly sized for a princess or young royal, but perhaps just slightly too modest for someone who wore the imperial state crown. When the Queen Mother passed away in March 2002, she left behind an extraordinary jewelry collection built over 8 decades. She had been one of Britain's most stylish queens, and her taste in jewelry reflected that. But here's where we see that same pattern again. Queen Elizabeth II inherited these magnificent tiaras, yet chose to keep most of them tucked away, letting them resurface in unexpected ways, rather than wearing them herself. It's quite striking when you think about it. A monarch with access to some of the world's most beautiful tiaras, preferring to let others wear them while sticking to her own trusted favorites. But perhaps that restraint made these pieces even more special when they finally came back into public view. The Strathmore Rose Tiara has one of the most touching origin stories in the royal collection. In 1923, when Lady Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon was preparing to marry the Duke of York, her father, the Earl of Strathmore, wanted something truly special for his youngest daughter. This wasn't just any wedding gift. It was a father's love expressed through diamonds shaped into wild roses. The tiara was quite clever in its design. Those 5 diamond roses could be removed and worn as individual brooches, or even replaced with sapphires, giving the young Duchess 2 completely different looks. It came with 2 separate frames, one for the fashionable 1920s style worn low across the forehead, another for traditional placement on top of the head. The Duchess of York loved her father's gift and wore it for glamorous portrait sessions that captured the spirit of the Roaring Twenties. But when her husband unexpectedly became King George VI in 1937, this charming family piece seemed perhaps too modest for a queen consort, and the Strathmore Rose quietly disappeared from public view. For decades, rumors circulated that it had fallen apart or been damaged. But when the tiara appeared in exhibitions and in Hugh Roberts' detailed book on the royal collection, it turned out to be in perfect condition. It had simply been waiting. Queen Elizabeth II inherited the tiara after her mother's death, but never wore it publicly. Then in November 2023, something wonderful happened. The Princess of Wales chose this very tiara for the South Korean state banquet at Buckingham Palace. 100 years after the Earl of Strathmore gave it to his daughter with such love, the wife of his great-great-grandson brought it back into the spotlight. The lotus flower tiara tells a different kind of story, one about transformation and royal creativity. This piece started as an elaborate necklace with complex designs, set with diamonds and pearls. It was a 1923 wedding gift from the Duke of York to his bride, purchased from Gerard. But Elizabeth had been learning from her mother-in-law, Queen Mary, who was famous for redesigning jewelry. Just 6 months after her wedding, the young Duchess went back to Gerard with a bold request. Could they please take apart this beautiful necklace and turn it into a tiara instead? The resulting piece, featuring lotus flower elements topped by diamond arches and pearls, became a favorite for the Duchess's portrait sessions. In 1959, the Queen Mother gave it to Princess Margaret as a pre-wedding gift. Margaret wore it regularly, and even loaned it to her daughter-in-law Serena Stanhope for her 1993 wedding. After Margaret's death in 2002, many people assumed the tiara stayed with the Linley family, so everyone was surprised when the Duchess of Cambridge appeared wearing it at the 2013 diplomatic reception. Margaret had returned this treasure to the royal vaults, and once again, Queen Elizabeth II inherited a beautiful tiara she would never wear herself. Perhaps the most clever story involves jewelry that could literally change its form. Between 1923 and 1925, the Duke of York gave his wife 5 beautiful Art Deco bracelets from Cartier. One featured sapphires, another emeralds, a third rubies, and 2 were set with diamonds. In 1925, she got a special frame that allowed 3 bracelets to be put together into a tiara. This Cartier bracelet bandeau became quite fashionable in the late 1920s and early 30s, worn to ballet performances and galas. But as the 30s went on and she became queen, this bracelet-tiara combination disappeared from public view. By the 1970s, the Queen Mother had passed these bracelets to Queen Elizabeth II, who wore them regularly, but always as bracelets, never putting them back together into tiara form. Today, Queen Camilla has begun wearing these treasures, starting with the emerald bracelet in 2024. But that original frame? It's presumably still sitting in the royal vaults, waiting for someone to rediscover the magic of transformation that once allowed a duchess to sparkle in 3 different ways with the same jewelry. Will we ever see this remarkable bracelet-tiara combination again? That remains one of the most intriguing questions about the royal collection. Now we move to what could be called the true powerhouses of the royal collection. These aren't the delicate personal keepsakes of a young princess, or the sentimental treasures from a beloved mother. These are grand, impressive tiaras, statement pieces with enormous presence and deep history. Each one carries enough weight and significance for a reigning monarch, yet she wore none of them. Instead, Elizabeth II became their careful guardian, deciding the fate of each piece, from public appearances to respectful silence, turning these jewels into tools for shaping the monarchy's future. Let's start with one of the most puzzling pieces in the collection, the Tech Crescent Tiara. This extraordinary creation goes back to the very foundations of the modern royal jewelry collection. Princess Mary Adelaide, Duchess of Teck, who was Queen Mary's formidable mother, made this tiara from jewels she had inherited from her aunt, Princess Mary, Duchess of Gloucester, a daughter of King George III himself. The design is quite striking. 20 diamond crescents embrace 3 wild diamond roses, with a slim band of diamonds at the base. Those crescents can actually face either direction, forward or backward, giving the tiara 2 completely different looks depending on how it's arranged. It's rather like having a hidden alternate version built right into the piece. But here's what makes this piece so intriguing. It seems to have been blessed with invisibility, or perhaps cursed by it. Queen Mary, who acquired it in the 1930s, was never photographed wearing it. When she passed it to the Queen Mother in 1936, Elizabeth made just one known public appearance in it at a banquet in Canada in 1939. Then silence. For over 60 years, this tiara simply vanished from public view. After the Queen Mother's death in 2002, it became one of 3 tiaras that Queen Elizabeth II placed on long-term loan with the Duchess of Cornwall. But even Camilla, who has worn the other 2 loaned pieces, has never appeared publicly in the Tech Crescent. It's sitting there, waiting. But for what exactly? That remains unclear. Now let me tell you about what King George V himself reportedly called his wife's best tiara, the Delhi Durbar tiara. Created in 1911 for that spectacular ceremony in India, this piece was Queen Mary's masterpiece of royal showmanship. She had her existing Boucheron loop tiara taken apart and the diamonds completely reimagined into something worthy of an empress. In 1946, Queen Mary made what would turn out to be a significant decision. She placed the Delhi Durbar tiara on permanent loan to her daughter-in-law for the royal family's tour of South Africa the following year. The Queen Mother wore it for that grand opening of Parliament in Cape Town, then never again. For the remaining 55 years of her life, this so-called best tiara remained in her collection, but never appeared on her head. When Queen Elizabeth II inherited it in 2002, she continued this pattern of deep respect mixed with personal distance. The tiara went to the Duchess of Cornwall as another long-term loan, and Camilla gave it exactly one public appearance at the Norwegian State Banquet in October 2005. Since then, it's been back in the vaults. What is it about this magnificent piece that seems to inspire such reverence that it becomes almost too precious to wear? Perhaps no story better shows Queen Elizabeth II's approach to inherited jewelry than what happened with the Greville collection. When the remarkable Dame Margaret Greville died in 1942, she left her extraordinary jewelry collection to the Queen Mother with, as she described it, her loving thoughts. The Queen Mother's letter to Queen Mary captures her genuine emotion. She wrote that she felt very touched by this gift and that she admired beautiful stones with all her heart. Among those treasures was the honeycomb tiara that Boucheron had created for Mrs. Greville. This tiara had gone through several changes over its lifetime. Mrs. Greville herself had already had it redesigned by Boucheron in 1921, and later the Queen Mother made her own small adjustments in 1953. For the next 5 decades, this became the Queen Mother's signature tiara. She wore it to state banquets, gala performances, even family celebrations at Balmoral. It was her reliable companion through the decades of widowhood, appearing at Japanese state visits, Royal Air Force anniversaries, and countless evening events, right up until her final tiara appearance in 1998. But when Queen Elizabeth II inherited this beloved piece in 2002, she made an interesting choice. Despite its obvious beauty and the emotional significance of its history, she never wore it publicly, not once. Instead, in 2005, it became the 3rd piece in her long-term loan to the Duchess of Cornwall. And what a transformation that's been. For Camilla, the Greville tiara has become what it was for the Queen Mother, a signature piece, her tiara uniform for state occasions. She's worn it to state banquets across 4 continents, making it as much a part of her public identity as her pearl necklaces and elegant hairstyles. But perhaps the most dramatic example of Queen Elizabeth II's approach as a curator involves the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik tiara. This stunning piece, also created by Boucheron for Mrs. Greville in 1919, features a massive 93.7-carat central emerald surrounded by diamonds in the fashionable Russian style. For 76 years after Mrs. Greville's death, this tiara was essentially a myth. Unlike its diamond sister, it had disappeared so completely that most royal jewelry enthusiasts had forgotten it existed. When Queen Elizabeth II inherited it in 2002, the silence continued. Then came October 2018 and Princess Eugenie's wedding. As the bride stepped from her car at St. George's Chapel, there it was, this forgotten masterpiece blazing with emerald fire after decades in darkness. It was a moment that perfectly captured Queen Elizabeth II's approach, patient preservation followed by perfect timing. Do you see the pattern here? These aren't stories of neglect, but of careful management. Queen Elizabeth II understood that sometimes the greatest gift you can give a magnificent object is the patience to wait for its perfect moment, its ideal wearer, its right time to shine again. One of the most puzzling inheritance mysteries in the royal collection involves the sapphire sunray bandeau. This flexible diamond tiara, with a distinctive sunray pattern, featured a central sapphire and diamond cluster that could be worn as a separate brooch. According to jewelry historian Leslie Field, the tiara may have originally belonged to Dowager Empress Marie Fyodorovna of Russia, one of several pieces Queen Mary purchased from the Russian imperial estate. However, the documentation around this origin story remains uncertain. What's certain is that Princess Margaret became the tiara's most visible wearer during the 1950s and early 60s. She wore it during her Caribbean tour in 1958, including that memorable dinner in Trinidad, where her powder blue gown was embroidered with diamonds and sapphires. Margaret also wore it for state visits and the wedding of Princess Astrid of Norway in 1961. After Margaret's active use ended in the early 60s, the tiara vanished from public view. Most experts believe the sapphire sunray bandeau now sits quietly in the royal vaults, waiting for its next moment in the spotlight. Then there's Princess Margaret's Persian turquoise parure, a set that includes one of the largest tiaras in her former collection, yet its current location remains a matter of educated guesswork. Queen Mary purchased this stunning set from Garrard, featuring diamonds and Persian turquoises. In 1923, King George V gave the complete set to his new daughter-in-law, Lady Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, as a wedding present. The young Duchess of York wore the turquoise jewels frequently during the 20s and 30s, but they seemed to disappear from her wardrobe after she became queen in 1937. In 1951, now the Queen Mother, Elizabeth gave the entire set to Princess Margaret as a 21st birthday present. Here's where the mystery deepens. When Margaret died in 2002, many of her jewels went to Christie's to pay death duties. But the Persian turquoise parure wasn't included in the sale. So where is it now? Some experts believe it returned to the royal collection. Others suggest it remained with Margaret's children. Our journey through Elizabeth II's invisible tiaras comes to a close. This is certainly not a complete list. We don't know exactly how many tiaras were kept in the royal vaults, or what other pieces might have belonged to the late queen. In my view, Elizabeth didn't wear many of these tiaras for various reasons. Some didn't quite suit her royal status. Pieces like Queen Mary's delicate diamond bandeau or the modest Cartier halo were more appropriate for princesses than a reigning queen. Others were perhaps too closely associated with loved ones, such as the Greville tiara, which became the Queen Mother's signature piece. But we can't know for certain what guided Elizabeth's choices. What I find wonderful is how some of these sleeping jewels would suddenly spring to life and create genuine excitement. The lotus flower on Catherine, the halo at her wedding, the diamond bandeau on Meghan, the Greville emerald kokoshnik on Princess Eugenie. Each appearance became an event, reminding us of the richness of the royal collection. Which jewels would you most like to see return? On whom do you dream of seeing them? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for reading. If you enjoyed this journey through the world of royal jewels, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.